Hey everyone, it's Greg Landsman. We recorded the show Monday. It is now Tuesday at 5 p.m. and we have some breaking news. We had to come back into the studio because the speaker just sent everyone home. He sent everyone home because of this bill, a bipartisan bill, that would have allowed proxy voting for new parents. Two new moms, one a Democrat, one a Republican. We're going to have one of them here with us in a minute. They have a bill that says if you're expecting and then after you have a child, for a short period of time, you should be able to proxy vote so you can serve your constituents and have a family. And the speaker said, no, we don't want to do that. We have with us one of the congressional moms that broke Speaker Johnson today. Brittany?
Hi, Greg. So good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
So tell us what happened. What was the bill?
So there were 4 co-leads of our resolution to make sure that we are creating an opportunity for new parents to vote remotely. As you know, when I was pregnant with Sam, he's 9 weeks old now, but when we were close to our due date, I was unable to get on a flight to be here to vote in person.
For health reasons.
Yeah, airlines don't even let you actually get on a plane at a certain point. And so I couldn't vote a few weeks before giving birth to Sam. And then, post-birth, you've been through this. It is a very difficult.
As a dad.
But it's 24/7 care. It's a lot to make sure that your newborn and your family are taken care of. And as a woman giving birth, the recovery period is also incredibly painful and difficult. So this is about addressing the challenges that parents face and making sure that their constituents can still be represented.
There used to be proxy voting during the pandemic where if you couldn't be in Washington, you could get a proxy. Like you could have been my proxy, I could have been your proxy. And
we're perfectly capable of communicating to each other in 2025.
They got, members of Congress got very good at it. It's super easy to do. Your bill, the bipartisan bill, would have just allowed proxy voting for new parents. That's it.
Yeah.
No one else.
It's a very narrow, targeted exception that you don't have to be there in person, that you can actually have your voice, your vote represented by being away. And, this is 2025. It's important that we get with the times. How many workplaces have included remote work opportunities? When there are things like this, life events that happen, your constituents should still be able to have their voice represented. So it's addressing those unique challenges in a very narrow, targeted way. And I'm proud that we got the 218 signatures to force a vote with a discharge petition. And so that's what we were doing today, is that Speaker Johnson knows that that's coming. Representative Luna notified them. They have
Republican.
Yes, they have 2 legislative days to bring it to the floor. That's why today, when they tried to kill it in a rules package and we were able to defeat it, they canceled votes for the week, which is, it's truly remarkable that this is the hill that they're dying on.
They literally took their ball and went home.
Yeah, it was
unbelievable.
I was hoping that there'd be a moment he'd say, you know what? You're right. I'm going to vote yes, because this is the right thing to do.
And instead he just said, everyone go home.
Everyone go home, but now they're going to keep going. So we're expecting, they said that they're going to include this now in the budget proposals.
God.
They're going to, again, try to kill this probably on Monday. And, I hope that the Republicans recognize the game that they're playing. There's no way that they're not going to bring Trump's budget priority to the floor. So this is just a way to try to shove it through and make it as hard as possible for Republicans.
The proxy voting for parents makes all the sense in the world. The discharge petition is one of the most democratic aspects of Congress. And I have railed on this show and others that Congress is broken in part because all of the things that the vast majority of us want, if you just looked at the numbers, the vast majority of us wanted this bill. We signed the discharge petition. It says if you get to 218, Sam's pissed. If you get to 218, you have to bring it to the floor. And now they're saying, no, we're going to take that one most, very democratic aspect of this Congress, and we're going to break it. We're going to throw it out. We're not going to do it.
Yeah, discharge petition is rare. It's only been used 5 times in the last 25 years. Or sorry, it's only passed 5 times. It's been used plenty.
That's how we got the Social Security Fairness Act done last
year.
Which is $20 billion.
Big deal.
3 million retired police, firefighters, teachers, letter carriers. They now get their full Social Security benefits because we forced a discharge petition.
I hear you, buddy. I'm so sorry. This is Sam is hungry, so we'll see.
Well, we'll probably just end it
goes.
there. Brittany, thanks for your advocacy on behalf of
Well,
all of us as parents. I haven't had babies, and ours are 13 and 15 now, but I do remember the days, and there's no way. I mean, it was so hard. So.
Well, Sam shouldn't be in this position. I shouldn't be in this position, especially when he was 4 weeks old, traveling across the country. When they're so vulnerable. So this is an important step forward to make sure that the voices of families are represented here in Congress. They're so often not, and that we're actually addressing the needs of families today.
Before we leave, I want to give everyone an image, which is the discharge petition sits in the well of the House on the table, where you see, when the president speaks during the State of the Union, that platform. It sits there. You can say, I want to sign the discharge petition. And for several days, Brittany stood there with Sam in her hands, asking colleagues to sign the discharge petition.
Yeah.
And it was really powerful to see, and ultimately, obviously, a majority of members, Republican and Democrats, said yes, and the Speaker said no. And here we are.
Yeah, I mean, the discharge petition exists so that when a large majority of members want to see something, want to vote on something, and leadership is not letting that happen, that we have another opportunity to force a vote. So I'm proud that we were able to come together on this issue, and I'm grateful for my colleagues on both sides of the aisle for their support. Sam and I won't be able to take advantage of this, but knowing that the next parent that comes along will not be faced with such difficult choices, and that we're going to, make sure that we're addressing the barriers that people face today.
Thanks.
Thanks, Greg.
Marc, welcome back.
Hey, good to be back. I'm glad that Brittany came out and she told her story because I remember that even as a dad, like being there with your kid, like in the first few weeks, especially first few months, that's very important.
Yeah.
And it's just really sad that in the Republican Party, that being able to take maternity leave and do remote voting is considered wokeness. I think that's crazy.
I'm like, what was the issue? What did
they consider her being able to vote from home, or Anna Luna being able to vote from home? They consider that wokeness.
I wonder if it was just dads, because it was moms and dads.
Yeah.
If it was just dads, maybe they'd been.
Yeah.
This one to me is bizarre.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, and the fact that he sent everyone home. It's petulant,
Right, exactly. Yeah, right. And you're the Speaker of the House. Why do you even go there if you know that you're going to lose? Like, it just put him in a really funny situation.
The level of incompetence,
right,
both with the congressional Republicans and this administration, Signalgate today, they're breaking everything. This is going to end up being a historic day, in part because they just shut down Congress because they didn't want proxy voting for new parents.
Right.
But also because of what Cory Booker is doing.
Yeah.
We call this
absolutely.
Cory Booker Day. The guy's going to do 24 hours, if not more. Mm-hmm. I went over there, sat in the Senate chamber, listened to him. It was emotional.
Yeah, right.
It's unbelievable.
And people should remember this when the Trump administration tries to cut their Social Security benefits in several months.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
And we're doing all of the things that you can do when you don't have the power.
Yeah.
And Cory Booker is doing one of those things, and he's doing it with grace and joy and love, and it's remarkable.
Exactly. And I say that it's going to happen. We're going to try to prevent it from happening. Yeah. That's exactly what Cory is doing. But the Republicans are trying to stop people's benefits. They are trying to reduce people's Social Security benefits. Like that's what's going on.
We're going to fight.
Absolutely, we are.
All right. All right, we're going to dive back into the rest of the episode, the one we actually did on Monday. We get into the administration's efforts to union bust, go after federal employees, and their right to collectively bargain. We'll get into Signalgate and Trump's suggestion that he would embrace a third unconstitutional term as president. So one of my favorite segments is the In Case You Missed It segment, which allows us to just go through some of the craziest things that have happened since, in this case, last week.
And there have been a lot of crazy things.
A lot of crazy things. We have to narrow it down. So we picked three. Number one, right when we were leaving, the president decided he was going to get back in the business of union busting.
Yeah.
And in this case, he is getting rid of a bunch of collective bargaining rights and other union rights for federal workers.
Yeah, and what people don't realize, and I know that not as many people belong to unions now as they did, a few generations ago. So let me explain why that's important. The right to collectively bargain and be able to come up with better benefits and wages for everyone is something that has been a long-standing tradition in American workforce and labor.
It's been one of the key drivers of getting wages up, which we desperately need.
Exactly.
Better working conditions.
Right.
And healthcare.
Right. So I want people to think, because again, I think that people, when they see these things, depending on what side of the fence you sit on, and particularly how one might feel about Trump, you may think that this is only hurting certain people. But I want people that out there that watch conservative news, for instance, to think about that union guy that comes on, that is the head guy for the Border Patrol people, right? Who these people like heavily supported Trump, these Border Patrol people, right? They're not going to be able to collectively bargain anymore if it's up to Trump.
That the indiscriminate firings will accelerate. That whenever they, have a chance to get higher wages, they will not have any bargaining power. If working conditions deteriorate, they will have zero power to negotiate better working conditions.
That's right.
Same with healthcare.
That's right. So it's not just Department of Education, because someone watching, again, conservative news may think, oh, this is just going to hurt those liberals at the Department of Education. No, that guy that is always on conservative news that represents the Border Patrol agents, you're screwing that guy too. And you're screwing those people that work along the border, the prison guards, the law enforcement that are federal. All of these people that, again, can collectively bargain. You are doing them a disservice, and you're telling them to go to hell, and that they can no longer negotiate on behalf of themselves for higher wages and better benefits.
Yeah, this is one that we will fight as hard as we can, particularly in the court of public opinion, because unions are very popular for a reason.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, now the second craziest thing is Signalgate, the cover-up. Trump is not going to hold anyone accountable, and congressional Republicans aren't going to hold him accountable. There'll be no hearings. They said there was no wrongdoing, nothing bad happened. And none of it was classified information. Of course, that is untrue.
Right. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, bro, dude, you are the Secretary of Defense.
I know.
You forecast and
you're
talked
laying
about
out.
Right, exactly. Before
these
missions even happened.
Yeah.
You're laying them out, like you put people in danger. And then on top of that, we find out a week later that you invited your wife to top secret briefings with people that she had no business being a part of the meetings. Like, dude, look, everybody already knows that, and is calling him one of the most unqualified Secretary of Defense that we already had. But I'm like, dude, you need to stop.
Now, New Dems, which hosts this podcast, called for Hegseth to step down.
We did.
National security experts all over the country have said that. I mean, you and I both believe he should never have been put in this job to begin with. Ultimately, the buck stops with the President of the United States and congressional Republicans who have a constitutional responsibility to hold these folks accountable. And the mistake is one thing, and it was probably the worst national security mistake that I can remember anyone ever making. But it's the cover-up that really kills people, and they are saying all kinds of things to give the impression that there was nothing wrong here, to cover up a huge strategic blunder.
And let me do this before we move off of this subject. Let me give a shout out to New Dem members Jason Crow and Jim Himes, who's the ranking member on Intel. They've done an amazing job of just laying out what a big deal this is. But I just want to say this. If the president thinks that this is going to go away, It is absolutely not. As long as those clowns are around, particularly the Secretary of Defense, this ain't going
They are
nowhere.
so unserious and incompetent, and the problem is that the American people know. They know that there is an unseriousness about Trump and a lot of these folks. There's an incompetence, and when they see it play out like this in a way that's truly dangerous, they are going to want a resolution, and if they don't get it, they're going to take it out on folks at the polls. All right, number 3, this is absolutely bonkers, but Trump is now saying he may stick around for a 3rd term. And of course, the only way he could do that, because there's not going to be a constitutional amendment, it's unconstitutional to serve a 3rd term.
Absolutely it is.
And he's not going to have the votes to change the Constitution. So the only way for him to do that is for him to refuse to leave. Which is so offensive to voters. The rule of law. And I just think every member of Congress should be asked right now, do they support this? And to be on the record, and hopefully every member of Congress says, of course not.
Well, I mean, think about it. He wouldn't leave on January the 6th, 2021.
He tried to overturn that election.
He tried to overturn the election, and not only that, he had to be threatened. People forget this part. His captain, not Democrats, not the quote-unquote liberal media, his own people had to sit him down and say, sir, you have got to call this crowd off, or we are going to use the 25th Amendment to remove you as president of the United States. That's how serious it got. So do you think that he's going to leave? And now he's learned that lesson, right? And so he's brought in all these yes people around him that aren't going to sit him down and say, sir, this is enough. You have to leave the White House in 2029. That's where we're at.
This is one of the scariest, most important stories, and obviously, it's gonna be something we're gonna have to deal with. But the sooner every member of Congress is on record saying absolutely not, the better.
No, that's right. Republicans included. That means they actually have to grow a spine and say it.
All right. Before we get out of here, something that's making you happy right now.
Something that's making me happy right now. Son is doing good in school. That's always making me happy. And now that it's getting warm outside, it's time to start barbecuing again, and that's what I'm really good at. Barbecue is a very regional thing, and there are some regions of the country that don't really do barbecue that well.
Let's do the top 5.
Okay, top 5.
You name number 1. No, number 5, and then we'll go down.
Okay, number 5, I'm going to say North Carolina.
North Carolina?
Yep.
Number 4?
South Carolina.
Okay. Number 3?
Definitely Tennessee because of Memphis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 2?
I am going to say Missouri is number 2.
Missouri.
Yeah.
Kansas City.
Yep. Kansas City and St. Louis. Both really good barbecue centers there.
Now, you have one spot left, and Alabama, Georgia don't make it. Alabama, we were just there. Unbelievable barbecue.
Good barbecue in Alabama. Very good I like Alabama's barbecue. I've had barbecue in Montgomery and a couple other places there, and it's not bad.
But the number 1?
Number 1 is easily Texas. There's no doubt about that. Like, not only is Texas good, but like how they have St. Louis, and then they have Kansas City. Like, we have barbecue centers all over Texas. Right now, Fort Worth, where I'm from, happens to be sort of the epicenter for all the great barbecue places. But we have them in Austin, we have them in the Hill Country, we have them in Dallas, we have them everywhere.
Well, I'm glad that you have the barbecue.
Yeah.
To make you happy.
All right. We'll holler at y'all later. Thank you for joining us.